blackness giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. We rise like unapologetic, yeah, we're the chosen. From the streets to the stage, the power's awoken. Black magic in our veins. Feel the motion, warriors of change. Pushing through every notion. No chains can hold us, we break through like oceans. Educate, elevate, that's our devotion.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
I'm unapologetically black for all rhymes and reason. I give no apologies for my blackness, giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. Still pushing through the struggle, can't keep us down. Voices loud from the underground to every town. Shades of excellence, ain't no hiding, won't back down. From the roots to the U.S. in the city's crown. Stay shining bright despite the hate they lay. Our culture's fire burns strong night and day. Black forever, the spirit won't decay. Raise the banner high, cause we here to stay. Sally, stay shine, we're going to live but I talk to our cry, Sally. Angel, you command, your thoughts are demands, and it's turn on Sally. I'm unapologetically black for all rhymes and reason. I give no apologies for my blackness, giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. We rise like unapologetic, yeah, we're the chosen. From the streets to the stage, the power's awoken. Black magic in our veins. Feel the motion, warriors of change. Pushing through every notion.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Daily Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, I know I'm late. I know some of y'all were in the chat talking trash, I'm sure. Okay, I hate when I'm late. But sometimes things happen, and sometimes I misestimate or underestimate the amount of time it's going to take me to get ready, okay? All right, so that all being said, let's get ready for it, honey. All right. Oh, this is all crazy what I'm about to tell y'all. Okay, so hey, Mel, Fat Boots in the house. Gwendolyn is here. Lillian X, April. Mama Joycelyn said, Queen, just know that your YouTube lives are saving lives. Not sure what I'll do without them. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay. Buckhorse DC, Edward is here. Nessie X. All right. Lillian X. All right. Above all that drama, let's get into it, Pearly. Okay. Nene is in the house. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to all my loyal Roys and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators putting in work. I see you most hated bronze flat power God. Okay, so let's get into it. D major scaling is in here. All right. All right, so I see you, Claudette. Let's get this party started. First off, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. All right.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com, honey. And speaking of ordering things, let's talk about Amazon. Because y'all's President Donald Trump, honey, he seems to have punked out Jeff Bezos, honey. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like, sub, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Pissed Trump called Jeff Bezos after learning Amazon considered breaking out a tariff charge. You're right. So anyway, let's talk about it. Now let me go over this article first. Hold on, here we go. So the White House took aggressive aim at Amazon with President Donald Trump putting in a call to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos Tuesday morning after the company considered displaying the added cost of tariffs on certain items. Now, Trump called Bezos to complain about reports that Amazon was considering displaying the cost of U.S. tariffs next to prices for certain products on the company's website. Two senior White House officials told CNN that Trump later said that it was a good call. Okay, yeah, because when Trump called Bezos, he just walked it back. Okay, mind you, him and Trump are friends. They hang out and stuff like that. Okay, I think he was personally invited to the inauguration and all of that. But anyway, these billionaires, okay, they're getting sick of Trump because he's costing them money. And but at the end of the day, it seems like they're all scared of him. Okay, he says Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. Yeah, I'm sure he was after he licked those boots. He solved the problem very quickly. Good guy. Trump gets on my nerves, honey. You notice how he praises people who just bow down to him and do whatever he says. But if you don't, he'll talk about sanctioning you. Okay, please pay attention. All right. Punchbowl News first reported that Amazon will soon display how much of an item's cost is derived from tariffs. Now, right next to the product's total listed price, the move could directly illustrate to American consumers how Trump's tariffs are affecting the cost of goods. Trump has slapped a 145% tariffs on imports from China and a 10% minimum tax on all other countries. All right, so anyway, we already know how it goes. We already know how it goes. Now let's go to this news report. Like up, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. And, you know, China is just like done with the United States at this point, it seems, because basically they're getting their crude oil from Canada now. Okay, please pay attention. And Trump is not happy about it at all. Okay, he is not happy about it at all. Okay, please pay attention.
Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I would also add that the bringing down the terrible Biden inflation has been a priority for the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and President Trump has done a great job of leading that. Since January 20th, interest rates, mortgage rates are down, gasoline and energy prices are down. We're expecting the further decreases. And as Caroline said, the big tax on consumers that goes unnoticed is deregulation or regulation, and we are deregulating and bringing that down. So, from a household income point of view, we would expect real purchasing increases. We've seen them over the first 100 days, and we would expect that to accelerate. We are doing peace deals, trade deals, tax deals, and deregulating. And the deregulation is a longer lead time, but I think by the third and fourth quarters, that's really going to kick in.
These people need to sit down somewhere, okay? They just be lying, talking about Trump's done a great job. Is he serious? Talking about gas prices are down and all this. Honey, please make it all make sense. Now listen, Fat Boo said, shaking my head and stomping my feet. I know that's right, beloved. That's the same thing I said, honey. This is all crazy. Now, Trump in a state of panic as China shuts down U.S. oil import and replaces U.S. with Canada for oil and gas. Trump is so ridiculous. And this was days ago, actually. But I just find that he's so ridiculous, okay? So ridiculous. So anyway, with that all being said, let's go to the report. Now, I'm going to put an overlay on this because I'm not sure if I can use this. It is news, but I'm not sure about the channel. Okay. Oh, let me just take that off real quick until I share it. Okay. So let's get into it, honey, because Trump, he's just turning the whole country upside down. Now we got to get into this breaking news where they've brokered a mineral deal with Ukraine. Okay. Did Zelensky sell his people out? I have several questions. Okay. And then let me turn on some music, honey.
A deal with Europe and signaling some progress with China as well. But he says there's no rush. ABC's Rachel Scott is at the White House.
Trade tensions between the U.S. and China continue to mount. In the latest, the U.S. announced 245% tariffs on Chinese imports. This means that a $1 product in the U.S. will now cost $3.45 in China.
The trade war between China and the U.S. has recently been creating major fluctuations in the energy sector. On the one hand, there are the tariffs and harsh policies imposed by the Trump administration, and on the other, Beijing's strategy of balancing the US, albeit at the cost of mutual damage. While both countries are using their trade trump cards to hit each other, the latest news points to dramatic changes, especially in the flow of oil and natural gas. China's closing the door on US oil and turning to Canada and imposing cuts on LNG imports from the US are causing a significant shift in global energy markets. So, why has this situation emerged? What data clearly shows the situation and what can be expected in the future? Let's examine the details of the issue together with the background data. China and the United States have gradually escalated their trade war since 2022. The retaliations, which initially started mostly in electronics, technology products, and agriculture, have gradually spread to the automotive, machinery, chemical, and even energy sectors. On the US side, the administration led by Donald Trump has imposed sweeping tariffs on China in a bid to put its America First slogan into practice.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America First.
One of the critical areas affected was the crude oil and LNG, liquefied natural gas trade. China seems determined to respond to Washington's pressure in its own way by imposing tariffs or formal import restrictions on energy products from the US. For a time, the rapid increase in production driven by the US shale revolution was an attractive opportunity for Beijing. Affordable American crude oil and LNG helped China bridge its huge energy deficit. Especially in 2017-2018, energy trade between the two countries grew, with China importing millions of barrels of crude oil from the US and negotiating LNG deals. There was even talk that Chinese companies would invest in LNG facilities in the US in some projects. However, the deepening of the trade war has reversed this picture. Newly released data show that China has cut its oil purchases from the US by 90% and is turning to Canada. According to Bloomberg's latest
Hey everyone,
latest reports, China's crude oil imports from Canada have reached historic highs. Chinese refiners and state-backed energy companies want to take advantage of the favorable price and stable supply of heavy oil from the Western Canadian Sedimentary Basin. Moreover, Canada is perceived as a more reliable source of political risk than the US. Canada's energy sector has the capacity to supply China in high volumes in the medium term. Canadian producers, who are planning to increase their technologically challenging heavy oil production and deliver it to the Asian market, are turning this increase in demand into an opportunity. Chinese importers have reportedly almost doubled their purchases of Canadian oil in the last 3 months. This data strengthens the thesis that Canada is grabbing the market share lost by the US. Of course, the simple answer to the question, why has China so clearly distanced itself from the US, is the tensions in the trade war. As Washington has raised tariffs on Chinese products, Beijing has retaliated with heavy tariffs on American oil and LNG. In some cases, these tariffs are in the range of 25 to 30%. Some sources report even higher tariffs on certain grades of oil. There are also allegations that Chinese state-owned companies have received a secret instruction to not bring revenue to an unfriendly country. This puts American exporters in a difficult position. It is reported that US oil, which is already suffering from transportation, logistics, and diplomatic problems, cannot compete with sources such as Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Canada in price competition. Of course, the picture is not limited to oil. LNG purchases from the US are also caught in Beijing's decision to halt imports.
中美经贸关系本质是互利共赢，经贸摩擦应该通过平等对话磋商来妥善解决。
According to the latest data, US LNG cargoes to China have dropped to almost zero. In the past few years, China has relied on US LNG to get through the cold winter months and meet fast-growing industrial demand. But now, tariffs and official barriers imposed on the US have reportedly disrupted that trade.
Okay, so you all heard it. Okay, you see what your president's out here doing. All right, he's totally just building, making more enemies for himself and this country. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. So China has significantly reduced its crude oil imports to the United States, reportedly by 90%, amid the escalating trade tensions and tariffs imposed by the U.S., of course. Now, with that all being said, China has been increasing its imports for Canadian crude oil, with shipments from Canada's Pacific coast reaching record levels. A pipeline expansion in Western Canada provides China and other East Asian importers greater access to Alberta's oil sands. Now, this offers a relatively cheap and dense crude oil supply. China's strategy involves diversifying its energy sources away from reliance on U.S., Russia, and the Middle East. Now, the reduction in U.S. oil imports is linked to escalating trade tensions between China and the U.S., including tit-for-tat tariffs. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods have reportedly reached 145%. Now, they say China has also been increasing its imports of crude oil from other countries like Iran and Brazil. Some oil shipments from Iran to China are potentially relabeled as originating from other countries to circumvent U.S. sanctions. Okay, honey, they're doing all they can do. Now, China's overall oil demand growth is slowing down due to factors like the growth of electric vehicles and a shift in economic activity. Okay, it says China's dramatically reshaping the oil import strategy by turning to Canada. So let me just tell you all something. At the end of the day, Trump is doing more harm than good, okay? And they're acting like everything's peaches and cream in his first 100 days. But wait till I tell you all the bullshit that Trump has been doing, okay? Now, let's talk about it because, first of all, let's go to the report that just came out. This is breaking news that they supposedly brokered a deal between Ukraine, okay, for the minerals or whatnot. And let me just pull this up because after Trump talked to Zelensky so crazy in the White House, I'm surprised, okay? But, you know, Trump's poking everybody out. Like I told y'all, he's running this country like a whole mafia. But he can't do those. He can't try to pull that with Putin, okay, and Captain Ibrahim Traore. Now, Ryan, please pay attention.
That we do want to bring to you regarding the war in Ukraine and this deal and these negotiations that we have been discussing here on Live Now for months, the rare earths minerals deal with the United States and with Ukraine. Well, we're coming on the air right now. It has been signed. This is breaking news here. And we heard in a video just posted from the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, announcing some of the parameters and the particulars of that said deal. Here's Secretary Bessent. Let's listen.
Thanks to President Trump's tireless efforts to secure a lasting peace, I am glad to announce the signing of today's historic economic partnership agreement between the United States and Ukraine, establishing the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. This partnership allows the United States to invest alongside Ukraine to unlock Ukraine's growth assets, mobilize American talent, capital, and governance standards that will improve Ukraine's investment climate and accelerate Ukraine's economic recovery. The Development Finance Corporation will participate and help to establish this fund in collaboration with the government of Ukraine. Today's agreement signals clearly to Russian leadership that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term. It's time for this cruel and senseless war to end. The killing must stop, and both the United States and the government of Ukraine look forward to quickly operationalizing this historic economic partnership for both the Ukrainian and American people.
Okay, the message there from Secretary Bessent, this was quite long in the making. There was some moments along the way that we were not entirely sure if this would ever get done, if this would ever be a done deal. More statements in, though, from the Treasury Department and Bessent himself saying this in a lengthy statement just released. Thanks to President Trump's tireless efforts to secure a lasting peace, I'm glad to announce the signing of today's historic economic partnership agreement between the United States and Ukraine, establishing the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. As the president has said, the United States is committed to helping facilitate the end of this cruel and senseless war. This agreement signals clearly to Russia that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term. President Trump envisioned this partnership between the American people and the Ukrainian people to show both sides' commitment to lasting peace and prosperity in Ukraine. And to be clear, no state or person who financed or supplied the Russian war machine will be allowed to benefit from the reconstruction of Ukraine here. So this is quite something. A lot of people have the question. I myself have the question. Now with the signing of this deal, what will that get us in some of these efforts to get a ceasefire on the table and to ultimately bring the war to an end here? We'll be breaking all of that down with our friends there, the folks at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. In the next hour, Cliff May and I will be discussing what, if any, efforts or outcomes can be attained in relation to this deal. But good progress on this deal will be also kind of breaking down some of the parameters of the deal itself. What does it mean for the United States? What does it mean for Ukraine? We're waiting for Ukraine also to respond. My producers are looking for Ukrainian response online.
Now you can sell this $20 yoga mat on Amazon and compete with hundreds of other yoga mats.
When advising on questions of liability.
Okay, so that all been said. Okay, so it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better, folks. Now, let's talk about some of these executive orders that Trump's been signing, because the other day I told you about the one that he signed, you know, basically gutting education for all of these universities that refuse to stop DEI and also who don't just tell him where they're getting their money from, from foreign entities and all of that, just basically letting him run everything and tell them what they can and can't teach. But so now this latest one that he signed, well, people are afraid that this could start martial law. And didn't I tell you all something about this? Donald Trump's new order sparks martial law concerns. Okay, President Donald Trump has ordered federal agencies to increase the flow of military and national security equipment to local law enforcement. A move that has raised concerns about the militarization of policing across the United States. Now, why is this important? Well, research in militarized police forces has found that this practice can erode public trust. Okay, it can escalate encounters between police and citizens, which we already know that they already escalate encounters between these citizens who look like me. Okay, it can blur the distinction between military operations and domestic law enforcement. Now, for those of you who had so much to say when I was talking about how Trump's taking away, his whole administration is basically, taking away people's rights to due process and just putting people on planes and shipping them out of here, this is what I was talking about. Okay, because Trump can start doing this to people that look like me, and then if we start trying to go against it or just, standing up, protesting in the streets or whatever, then they can just call martial law. Okay. And they had something that they enacted during the Reagan administration that I told you all about, that I can't really go into detail on here, where they can just snatch people up. Okay, people who look like you. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, some of y'all need to just really pay attention to the big picture and not just what you see right in front of you, which is the immigrants. Okay, so with that all being said, this executive order specifically has increased fears around an encroachment toward martial law. Now, the president has already called for his government to review the Insurrection Act, which would give more domestic power to the military, and now wants to provide regular law enforcement with militaristic material. Okay, I'm sorry, what? Do y'all hear this fool? Okay, now, the strengthening and unleashing of America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens executive order. That's what it is. Okay. The strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect U.S. citizens. First of all, that's just to make it sound good, like it's all about protecting. Okay, now, which the president signed on Monday. It directs Attorney General Pam Bondi and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, in consultation with Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and other agency heads, to increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions within 90 days. Now, the directive gives the Attorney General and the Secretary of Defense a 3-month deadline to begin expanding the provision of military and national security resources to assist state and local law enforcement. Now, while the order does not specify the types of equipment that will be made available, past programs involving the transfer of military gear to police departments have included armored vehicles, tactical equipment, and surveillance technology. Now, the order also stipulates within 90 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. Now, in addition to bolstering local law enforcement agencies, the White House has moved to expand the role of the U.S. military in domestic law enforcement. Earlier this month, Trump issued a presidential memorandum that directed the military to take a more direct role in securing the southern border, with the ability to detain and search individuals in the New Mexico National Defense Area. Now, here's what people are saying. Political scientist Joel Manafort on X, formerly known as Twitter, said, truly terrifying executive order from DJT, Donald J. Trump. Okay, all local law enforcement will now use aggressive tactics to police cities. And when they break the law, those big law firms who caved will represent them pro bono. Okay, martial law is starting. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because he's not lying. He is not lying, okay? Now, Chris Stoker, a columnist for German Current Affairs magazine, wrote on X saying, "This is highly worrying. Trump has issued an executive order that basically is supposed to make it possible to use military forces as law enforcement and paves the way for militias aiding the police with legal impunity. They're preparing to violently quash expected riots." See, they're knowing that there's going to be people rioting in the streets mad about what they're doing. Okay, I want you all to pay attention, honey. This is all crazy. Okay, this is all crazy. With that all being said, honey, Trump is doing the darn most. Y'all gonna see in a minute. Y'all are going to see in a minute, honey, but hold on, there's more. Okay, so remember how I told you all that Trump's administration is sending the wrong people out of the country, and then they're purposely doing this. It's not an accident. That's why they're telling all these damn lies. That's why they're showing Photoshop pictures. That's why they're arresting judges, okay, for trying to intervene. And that's why Trump is disobeying federal judges as well. But here's the thing. Do you all know that ICE raided the wrong house and traumatized this woman and her children? Okay, please pay attention. But y'all think it can happen to you, honey? Y'all better wake up and smell the coffee, okay, while it's brewing. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen, honey, because this is all nefarious. And this is only going to get worse, like I keep telling y'all. Trump is a devil and an idiot to boot.
Very important. I want to show you something that I think is very important from a local news station. And this is not about someone fighting back against Trump. It is actually not about politics at all. It is about the character of what Trump has done to the government and what Trump is doing to the country. It's about what he has agents of the federal government doing in the United States, the real life consequences of this shambolic mess that he has made of the US government in just this short amount of time that he has been back in office. So this is from KFOR, which is the NBC affiliate in Oklahoma City. They aired this report last night in their 10 p.m. local news. They told us today that they had such an overwhelming response from their viewers reacting in shock to this story. That they continue to work the story today. They featured it again tonight with updated reporting on their primetime broadcast at dinner time. So I'm going to show it to you. I mean, I know everybody in the national media is doing their 100 days of Trump reviews or whatever right now. Honestly, here's mine. For me, I think this local news report, this is kind of all you need to know about this president and his character and the character of his leadership and the government that he runs and what he is doing to this country. Just watch this.
New at 10, a family traumatized after armed federal agents busted into their home as they were sleeping and took almost everything they own. Problem is, they were not the people agents were supposed to be looking for.
News 4's Spencer Humphrey is here with their frightening ordeal. Spencer, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, get this. That family just moved here about 2 weeks ago from out of state. And this is how their life in Oklahoma got started. They say they told federal immigration agents they had the wrong people, but those agents kept treating them like criminals, even though they're all U.S. citizens.
Fear.
Because I did feel at times that I was going to die.
So much fear.
I kept praying. I said, God, please let me live through this moment.
Humiliation.
I was a zero. I was nothing.
Pure disbelief.
I just couldn't understand how is this happening to us.
All just for wanting a fresh start.
You come to go home and you get treated like this. For what?
This woman, who we're calling Marissa, and her 3 daughters came to Oklahoma from Maryland looking for a slower, more affordable pace of life. They rented this house in a nice, seemingly safe northwest Oklahoma City neighborhood. Her husband planned to join them this past weekend, but any semblance they had of comfort went out the window when 20 men armed to the teeth busted through it Thursday morning.
I don't know who they were. They had guns. It was dark. All the lights were off.
They were federal agents, Marissa says, with the U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI.
And I kept asking them, like, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happening? And they said, we have a warrant for the house.
They ordered Marissa and her daughters outside into the rain before they could even get dressed.
They wanted me to change front of all of them, in between all of them.
The thing is, the suspect names on that search warrant were not Marissa's or anyone in her family's. They were, however, names listed on mail still arriving at the house. Former residents, perhaps.
We just moved here from Maryland. We're citizens. That's what I keep saying. We're citizens.
She says they didn't care.
We weren't criminals. Why were they treating us like criminals? We were here by ourselves. That we didn't do anything.
The agents ripped apart every square inch of the house, taking their phones, laptops, documents, and their life savings in cash as evidence.
Like, I have to feed my children. I'm gonna need gas money. I need to be able to get around. Like, how do you just leave me like this, like an abandoned dog?
And when they left, they told her something.
I know it was a little rough this morning. It was so denigrating. Like, you do all of this to a family, to women, your fellow citizens, and it was a little rough. You have literally traumatized me and my daughters for life.
This family has virtually nothing.
And I said, when are we going to get our stuff back? He was like, it could be days or it could be months.
Nothing but questions.
Well, what if I would have been armed? What if you're breaking in? What am I supposed to think? My initial thought is we were being robbed. My daughter's female daughter's being kidnapped.
Nothing but likely lifelong trauma.
We have guns pointed at our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans, as women, a little bit of mercy, and care a little bit about your fellow human mate, about your fellow citizen, like fellow resident. We bleed too. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We were scared. You could see in our faces that we were terrified.
Marissa says the agents refused to leave any contact information or business cards. She believes the agents wore logos connected to ICE, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the FBI. Today, the U.S. Marshal Service says their team was not involved. We also reached out to the FBI asking about that agency's level of involvement. Last week, they told us they assisted in this case. Late this afternoon, they told us they were not on the scene. They told us to contact Homeland Security, so we did. A spokesperson told us they would look into it and get back with us. So far, we've heard nothing. As for the family's phones, electronics, and cash, they have no idea which agency has their belongings or how to get them back.
If I wanted hair hanging.
Okay, isn't that absolutely crazy as hell? Isn't that absolutely crazy as hell? Came to the wrong house. See, that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. They can come to your house by mistake. And you think because you're black, they're going to think you're not an immigrant? When Trump just lied and said the Congo's sending people here. Please pay attention, folks, okay? Please pay attention. Now watch this. Tell you, we haven't seen nothing yet. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
This is what we want you to open your eyes to. If it can happen, as we've said time and time again, if it can happen to folks with green cards, it can happen to citizens. And in Oklahoma City, we see a perfect example of that. This is what we're talking about. It's not other people. It's us. It's our neighbors. It's our friends. It's people who just moved from Maryland to Oklahoma for a better life and have their house destroyed. And they can't get answers. If we watch the rest of the news clip there, they're asking ICE, who's responsible for this? And then they're sending them to another agency, and they're sending them to another agency, and nobody is accountable for what happened to them. This is what my colleagues are trying to fund with this bill. Armed federal agents breaking into homes, even of U.S. citizens, traumatizing them, taking their possessions. This is Trump's America. That's why we continue to talk about due process. It's not some pie in the sky idea. It's what literally holds our country together. Without due process, without the belief in the Constitution, we are not Americans. That's what gives us the ability to say we are an exceptional country in the world, that everyone who lives here gets due process. And we're going to keep saying this over and over and over again for everyone who lives here. What happened to that family, once again, of American citizens in Oklahoma City should scare the hell out of all of us. And we should not be using this committee to find more money to pump into ICE so that these things can happen.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. This is all crazy, but some of y'all are just so, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go in on y'all because I'm just over it at this point, but some of y'all really need to sit down somewhere. Some of y'all are the same ones who were sitting there talking about the immigrants. And that's what I was trying to tell you all, the same thing she's saying, okay? The same thing she's saying. That's a sitting congresswoman telling you that we need the Constitution to be enforced. We need due process. If it can happen to them, it can happen to you. Haven't I been telling y'all that for the past month? Some of y'all don't want to listen, sadly. You're going to find out. You're going to F around and find out, okay? Now, TC Dan said, did you see the Postal Service law enforcement is allegedly assisting administration with immigration enforcement? I have questions. Yeah, of course. We already knew that was coming. That was a given. They are doing the absolute most. Thank you for your insight to the topic, beloved, and your contributions to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. This is all a hot-ass mess. I'm so over it.
For other countries to take people from third countries. So we are active, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your countries. Will you do that as a favor to us? And the further away from America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country. Here's something else we've done. We stopped giving student visas to people who are coming here to burn down our universities and take over libraries and harass people. Why are we giving student visas to people who are coming here to create disruption? And we've taken away the student visas of people that are coming here to do that. It's simple. If you're coming to America to start riots, we're going to take away your student visa.
Shut your ass up. I can't stand him. Okay, I absolutely can't stand his ass. And here's the thing. He's sitting there talking about these pedos and rapists and all that. Okay, at the end of the day, those been here. Let's not act like it's just immigrants, honey. They've been here. And plenty of them look just like him. He needs to sit his ass down somewhere. When I tell you this gets me so heated, and then toxic therapist said, go out and protest, being queen. You go out and protest. Okay, if you're trying to be smart, don't try it today because I'm not in the mood. And at the end of the day, I've already told you all that I don't go out and protest. Okay? I don't go out and protest because for what? Your ancestors protested, and here we are, still living in Jim Crow in 2025. So no, I don't go protest, all right? I do other things. But at the end of the day, what you need to do, toxic therapist, is you need to get yourself together, get your lifelines and all of that. That's what you need to do, okay? You need to focus on what's going on, honey, because we might be under martial law is all I'm saying. And at the end of the day, I tried to tell y'all, I've been telling y'all for the longest. But like I said, some people don't want to listen. And you're going to learn, you're going to F around and find out, period. All right? That's what's going to happen, okay? I'm just trying to do my due diligence and tell you all. So don't say I didn't tell you. Okay, Senator talking about go out and protest. Honey, y'all know I don't protest, please. All right, now, with that all being said, this darn fool Trump, let's talk about this Colombian student who was detained by ICE. All right. Colombian student detained at citizenship interview. Okay. Finally released by ICE. So Mohsin Modawi, a Palestinian student. Oh, and let me just say this about Palestinians. When Marco Rubio is sitting there talking about why are we letting people come here so they can just cause chaos on their campus, this and that, he's talking about these Palestinian students who are protesting stuff that's going on in Israel, because at the end of the day, what Trump's trying to do is basically not allow them to come here, and because he don't want anyone saying anything about these people, or He's probably going to make some type of executive order to have you locked up, call you a terrorist, or do something nefarious. Okay, please pay attention, honey. All right, he already said he was their king. So Mohsen Modawi, a Palestinian student at Columbia University, has been released from immigration custody following a federal judge's order Wednesday. Now, Modawi was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement on April the 14th after appearing for a U.S. citizenship interview. Says that, I am saying it loud and clear. Modawi said, this is what Modawi said outside a federal courthouse in Vermont following his release Wednesday. To President Trump and his cabinet, I am not afraid of you. Honey, don't talk too much because they crazy. Okay, I might usually be out there talking slick, but honey, these people are not playing games. They're all idiots, okay? Now, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement to Newsweek, the Trump administration is committed to restoring the rule of law to our immigration system. No judge, not this one or any other, is going to stop us from doing that. Y'all hear what these fools are saying? They don't give a darn about judges. They don't give a darn about the rule of law, the Constitution, due process, nothing. Okay, so y'all need to be sitting here paying attention, honey, because it's going down in the USA. All right, Modawi is a friend of Mahmoud Khalil, another pro-Palestinian activist at Columbia and fellow green card holder who DHS agents also detained over his alleged actions that the federal government said went against U.S. foreign policy. No, they didn't. They just don't want them out there protesting about what's going on over there, okay? Please pay attention. Now, Modawi's lawyers have said that he was detained in retaliation for his speech advocating for Palestinian human rights during the early days of the Israel-Hamas war following the terror group's attack on October the 7th of 2023. Yeah, that's what it is, okay? Now, he stepped back from the work on campus in early 2024. According to court documents, his notice to appear in immigration court states that he is removable under the Immigration and Nationality Act called the NIA or the INA because Secretary of State Marco Rubio determined that his presence and activities would have serious adverse foreign policy consequences and would compromise a compelling U.S. foreign policy interest. They're just making up ish as they go. Now, the government argues that Modawi's detention is a constitutionally valid aspect of the deportation process, and that district courts are barred from hearing challenges to how and when such proceedings are begun. So they can say that you got to get up out of here because you're violating policies or whatever, something that's negatively impacting foreign relations or whatever, or foreign policy, and then basically, kick you up out of here, and a judge is not even allowed to hear what you have to say, not able to hear, your grievance. Did y'all hear this? Yeah, this is what they're doing. Okay, so Modawi was born in a refugee camp in the Israeli-occupied West Bank and moved to the United States in 2014, according to court documents. He recently completed coursework at Columbia and was expected to graduate in May before beginning a master's degree program this fall. This is a darn shame. So somebody coming here, a productive citizen, going to college, trying to get an education, and about to get their master's degree, and this is what Trump's administration is doing, okay? I find it also interesting. Why doesn't he go out there and look for the people that's out here supplying the fentanyl? Why don't he go do that? Okay, because those people look like him, okay? Now, anyway, his detention caught on video in mid-April sparked outcry from Democratic Party members of Congress, including independent Senator Bernie Sanders. U.S. District Court Judge Jeffrey Crawford said in his ruling that Modawi's 2 weeks of detention had demonstrated great harm to an individual not charged with any crime. Okay, similar concerns have been raised in the cases of other students detained by ICE also after expressing pro-Palestinian views. So, they don't care who you are. If you're out there protesting against the stuff that's going on right over there in Israel and the Gaza Strip and all that stuff, honey, they can ship your behind up out of here. They don't give a darn who you are and if you are legally here or not. Okay, and as I recall, right after the election, I do believe that I told you all that Trump's not just going to be shipping immigrants away from here. He's going to be shipping U.S. citizens. And here we are. Okay, so don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so anyway, Mossad Modawi said outside on Wednesday, saying, "Never give up on the idea of justice. That justice will prevail. We want to stand up for humanity because the rest of the world, not only Palestine, is watching us. And what is going to happen in America is going to affect the rest of the world." Now, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin added in her statement to Newsweek saying, "It is a privilege to be granted a visa or green card to live and study in the United States of America. When you advocate for violence, glorify and support terrorists that relish the killing of Americans and harass youths, that privilege should be revoked, and you should not be in this country." First of all, that man wasn't doing any of that. The only thing he was doing was protesting the treatment of a certain group of people by another certain group of people, and we already know who those people are. Okay, U.S. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, Democratic Senator Peter Welch, and Democratic Representative Becca Balint said in a joint statement shared with Newsweek. They said, "We are relieved that Mohsen Madawi was released on bail, but ICE detention in Vermont, from ICE detention in Vermont, and that the constitutional right to due process has prevailed. Mohsen Madawi is here in the United States legally and acted legally. He should never have experienced that grave injustice." Now, the Trump administration's actions in this case and in so many other cases of wrongful detention and people being deported and disappeared people even are shameful and immoral. Yeah, did y'all know people are disappearing? And some of those people look like y'all. I just want y'all to pay attention, honey, because that house that got broken into, the wrong house, that wasn't the first time that's happened. They said this has happened before. Okay, now this is an important first step. We will continue the fight against President Trump's assault on the rule of law. Ooh, honey, we know he don't give a darn about the law, honey. He's a whole criminal himself. This is a massive victory for the First Amendment and against Trump's authoritarian immigration policies. Now, the Council on American Islamic Relations said in a press release that we welcome the release of Mohsen Madawi as an important victory in the struggle for not only his freedom, but also in the broader struggle to protect the First Amendment. Okay, every person in America, including immigrants, has a constitutional right to free speech. The Trump administration must stop abducting and disappearing college students because they dared to criticize U.S. support for Israel's government's war crimes in Gaza. That's what he's doing this for. Like, this is almost unbelievable. Okay, it's almost unbelievable. But the only reason that it actually is believable is because I just know how idiotic Trump is and what a devil he is. Okay, but this is all crazy. Okay, this is absolutely nefarious. Please pay attention. Oh, let me see what y'all are saying in the comments. It's only going to get worse, like I said. Black people stay in the house, says Truth Brown. Not stay in the house, honey. That's the thing. We can't stay in the house, beloved. We got to go out and work and do things. And here's the thing. Doesn't really matter if you stay in the house. ICE is kicking in doors. They're kicking in the wrong doors. You can stay at home, but that's not always guaranteed to help, beloved. That's all I'm saying. Mel says Trump is a narcissist. Yes, he absolutely is a narcissist and a sociopath. I mean, a psychopath to boot. Definitely that, beloved. I absolutely agree, honey. Okay, so that have been said. They said Madawi was released immediately, but his immigration case and others involving pro-Palestinian students facing potential deportation will continue. The Trump administration has said that it will continue to revoke the visas and legal status of those deemed to be a risk to the United States under the INA. Well, there you have it. But let's keep going, honey, because this is a whole bunch of mess. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. Did I tell you all about Jeff Bezos yet? Oh, yeah, I did tell you all about him. Okay. All right. So now let's get into what's, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Hold on, beloveds. The curb. They say Traore strikes historic deal with Putin just days after coup attempts against him, and the West is shocked. I bet they are. I bet they are. And I know Trump is pressed. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen so we can see this. We're not going to watch the whole thing. It's like 20 minutes. So we're going to watch some of it, though. All right. I know the West is mad. And also, by the way, Putin has sent special forces to help and to protect Captain Ibrahim Traore. Okay? So Putin's got his back. I know Trump's clearly bad, honey. Please pay attention.
Ibrahim Traore, this young revolutionary, survived yet another sinister coup attempt aimed at snuffing out his life and derailing the Burkinabe dream of true sovereignty. As if that wasn't enough, the United States, in its predictable arrogance, hurled accusations that Traore is using Burkina Faso's gold to protect himself rather than serve his people. But let me tell you something, this is not the sound of a man cowering. This is the roar of a lion, unbroken, unbowed, and unafraid. Captain Traore has once again proven to the West that Africa is not their playground, that we are not bound to their whims, and that we will forge our own path, with or without their approval, in a move that has sent shockwaves through Western capitals and left their media scrambling for narratives. Burkina Faso has deepened its ties with Russia, granting an industrial mining license to Russian miner Nordgold for a gold project. This is not just a business deal. It is a declaration of war against neo-colonial exploitation.
All right, so y'all heard that, honey. And like I said, Trump is clearly pressing. Trust me, he is. Okay, here we go.
Was re-elected president of the United States. One of his first actions was to deport immigrants, especially Africans, who he has consistently viewed as problematic. Surprisingly, not a single African leader spoke out in protest, except one, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Traore first demanded the return of Africa's gold stored in the West, a bold move we discussed in a previous video. Now, he's stunned the global stage again, this time by wiping out all of Burkina Faso's national debt. Imagine this, a small landlocked African nation that rarely makes international headlines, known neither for oil wealth nor bustling metropolises, and often labeled among the poorest countries in the world, suddenly announces it's cleared nearly $5 billion in debt. No loans, no Western aid, no negotiations with global banks. Sounds like fiction, right? But it's not. It's real. Burkina Faso just did the unthinkable, and it's left many global powers completely baffled. Why? Because there's a deeply rooted belief that African nations can't thrive without external help, whether through loans, grants, or foreign guidance. But Burkina Faso just shattered that narrative. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't beg. They simply acted on their own terms. So how did they do it? In 2024, Prime Minister Dr. Apollinaire Tshilem made a groundbreaking announcement. Burkina Faso had paid off $4.79 billion in domestic debt. No involvement from the IMF.
Your business is crushing it, but unless they've got the right help desk software.
Oh, man!
Okay, forgot I was muted. Okay, so you see all the stuff that he's doing over there that's positive, okay? Basically getting rid of the debts, building schools and all of that. And, you know, Trump and Macron, like I told you all, they're very upset by all of this and telling all these lies and everything. And Trump is even more upset now that he knows that Putin is protecting this man, okay? And Putin said months ago, Putin said that he would have protection from him, said that Traore would have protection from him as long as he's alive. Okay, please pay attention. I'm so glad people are standing up to the West.
That South Africa must be bullied by imperialist forces. America must never tell us what to do. The same United States, which is furious at being cut off from the riches of Burkina Faso, cannot tell us what to do. We stand with Captain Traore. We stand with Traore because we know that Traore stands for the unity of Africa. We are Traore, and Traore is all of us. If they kill Traore, you must know they would have created another wound in the continent of Africa. We must defend him the same way we defend the unity of Africa. We must defend China for defying the USA and telling the USA to go to hell because they don't understand how the tariffs works. Donald Trump is an enemy of himself and all of us. And he must know the EFF is not scared of him. The EFF is not scared of Israel. The EFF is not scared of Morocco. The EFF is not scared of the imperialist forces. The EFF will stand on the side of the people of DRC, the people of Sudan, and the people of Sahrawi. We don't have freedom in South Africa for as long as the people of Palestine are still under the oppression of Zionist aggression of Israel. All of us must say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, because we know as beneficiaries of international solidarity that if we stand with the oppressed in the world, those oppressed people will be liberated. Arien kaofela ha re tsamaya mo re isolate all political parties tse di ileng ko Israel, di kukuna bo DA, bo PA, bo ACDP, ba batla tšhelete, ba lwantsha the stand of South Africa. Let's go, all of us, and say, we are not free until the people of Palestine are free. We don't care if we are going to be punished for that. The people who were killed in Matola in Mozambique because of our freedom. The people who were killed in Lesotho because of our freedom. The people who were killed in Wankispolilo in Zimbabwe fighting for our freedom. We cannot allow that those who stood with us during difficult times are today isolated by the enemy, and we go to the side of the enemy. We are Palestine, and Palestine is South Africa.
All right, y'all heard that. Okay, Trump's creating enemies from sea to shining sea, honey. Please pay attention. Okay, nobody's checking for the U.S. right now, and I can't blame them, honey. I'm not even checking for them, and I'm here. Please pay attention. Now, I'm going to show this video, and then we got to talk about what the experts are saying about these shelves being empty real soon. Okay, so let's get into it, because this is what some people who don't look like me have to say about Captain Ibrahim Traore. Please pay attention. Hold on, let me get my overlay real quick.
Thank you to us. It's not a big deal. It will come with time.
There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude.
Gratitude, I am well aware, is a non-transmissible disease to humans.
He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human. In his eyes, I think that if he is not an atheist and he prays, every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray to the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to us.
France occupied Burkina Faso.
Now, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? He said when he wakes up every morning to pray, he needs to pray to Africans, because if it wasn't for their ancestors, there would be no France. Did y'all hear that? All right. That's the same thing we need to be telling these people over here. If it wasn't for our ancestors, well, they wouldn't have this country that they love so dearly. Okay, please pay attention.
Faso for generations. They stole gold and uranium, billions of dollars of resources for pennies on the dollar, while the people of Burkina Faso suffered. But Burkina Faso's new revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, says no more. Traore has kicked out all of the French troops from his country in Africa. He has banned exports of gold to Paris, and he has dropped French as the official language of Burkina Faso. It's a total cultural, political, and economic reset. Now, obviously, French President Emmanuel Macron is kind of upset with all of this. He has made his position known. And President Traore beautifully responded. He said, if anyone is ungrateful, it is him, Emmanuel Macron. France exists today thanks to our ancestors. They should pray for us. And Burkina Faso is making it clear that this is not about some attack on France. This is about independence and sovereignty. Just last week, Burkina Faso's President Traore decided to release 4 French spies who were guilty of attempting to commit a coup against the president, Captain Ibrahim Traore, in 2022. The message is clear. Burkina Faso is not the pawn of France or the Dutch or the United States anymore, but forgiveness is also at the heart of their revolution. Traore says that this is not just a split, it is a revolution with global ripples. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Apparently Trump works for French bankers now. He's threatening to arrest Ibrahim Traore. You ought to know who he is. He's the youngest president in the world. He's the president of Burkina Faso, and he has been wrapping up the French Empire in Africa.
Now, did y'all hear what he said? He said Trump has threatened to lock up Ibrahim Traore. And you know why? Because the French are mad at him, because he kicked him the hell up out of there. You see, Trump needs to mind his own business, okay? But now he's very upset. There's a rumor going around. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. Some sites have said it was false, but you know, Trump and his administration lie so much that you don't know what to believe. So anyway, it has been said that Trump actually invited Captain Ibrahim Traore to the White House, okay, for a meeting, and that he turned it down. Okay, but now Trump and his administration said that's fake news. Okay, so I don't know if it is or not.
The French are still looting Africa through the banking system, through ownership of all the natural resources in Africa, and they've been straight looting the place. And this guy's been leading the charge to not do that shit anymore. Trying to opt this guy like he was Fidel Castro. I should tell you something. This probably doesn't seem to be very well known in the world media, but this is one of the most significant dudes in the world right now.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If it's your first time, kindly subscribe to the
Traore's done since he was elected in 2023. Increased the GDP of Burkina Faso from 18.8 billion to 22.1 billion. He reduced the salaries of ministers by 30% and increased the salary of civil servants by 50%. He made Burkina Faso a debt-free country. Now think about what our government is doing to farmers in the UK, and then look at what Ibrahim Traore has done for farmers in his country. He bought them 400 tractors, 239 tillers, 710 motorbikes, 714 pumps, which meant the production of millet, rice, tomatoes and cotton rose by millions of tons. But the main reason why they want rid of Ibrahim Traore is because he's banned the colonial exploitation from France and the West, who for years have kept Africa poor and weak by exploiting the minerals. All the gold, oil, platinum, diamonds, all these precious minerals have been extracted from Africa. The African people have been paid pennies, and that's what's keeping them poor. Now he's a problem, he's a terrorist, and the West have to go in and help Burkina Faso. Just like we went in and helped Palestine, went in and helped Syria, just like we went in and helped Libya. They destroy the infrastructure and destroy the lives of the people so they can get what they want, line their own pockets, and have complete control of how the world works. And if Ibrahim Traore, God willing, stays alive and succeeds, this is a big problem for the New World Order moving forward. It means no one world government. It means no one world currency, because if you can't control Africa, you can't control the world. So this is why we need to pray for this man. This is why we need to keep him alive. And this is why we don't believe anything we see on the mainstream media about him being a problem, a terrorist, an extremist, someone with empathy, someone with courage, someone who's willing to die for his people for what he believes in.
Have you heard of President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso? All right, young man, been in power 2 years now, president of Burkina Faso. He's a military guy, captain. And I don't know if you know about this, but there's been about 18 assassination attempts on his life. And he came into power at a very strategic time in the history of Burkina Faso, a lot of difficulty, instability. And he's done quite a few amazing things in his 2 years, even though they've tried to assassinate him so many times. If you go and look what he is trying to do in terms of key reforms aimed at stabilizing his nation, he has built schools, hospitals, roads, developed agriculture, donating a lot of tractors and equipment for agricultural development so they can produce their own food. They have stopped exporting raw materials. They are trying to process gold themselves, hospitals, all those kind of things. You know, there's a lot of things, even airport, right? And so there's a lot of development that's going into Burkina Faso at this moment in time. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at this whole thing. Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything he is doing, all right? I'm also not saying that everything he's doing is bad. I think any president that is building schools, working on education, all right? Any president that is bettering the healthcare of their people, that's trying to help their people to become more self-sustainable, less reliant on imports, etc., increase production in the country, factories, job creation, etc. I think that is a praiseworthy president. And so the interesting thing is, when it comes to Africa, and you go and look at the history of the last 20 years of Africa, and presidents that have been removed either through a military coup and or assassinated and or removed weird circumstances or committed suicide, you know, a lot of those, or let me rephrase that, some of them were corrupt, all right? All of them were not good. But there were a number of them whose heart was really to better their country. But they have something in common, and that is that they went against the global establishment, if I can put it like that. And I'm not going to define that, go into details, right? I think you know what I'm talking about. And so a lot of them just suddenly left this earth in sometimes a very bizarre way. So I'm looking at President Ibrahim Traore, and I'm not saying, again, I'm agreeing with everything he's doing, especially with some of his alliances, some of the other leaders in Africa that he's endorsing. Some of them are questionable, all right? But it is very clear that he's got a heart for his people and for his nation. And in his aim to develop his own country, there's been roughly 18 assassination attempts on his life. And if you look at the trend of African leaders disappearing when they want to build their own countries and invest in their people, isn't that a bit strange to you? Isn't that bizarre, you know? Now, I know what's going on. I'm not talking from a position of ignorance, all right? The thing is just I can't discuss a lot of these things on this platform, all right, because of the fact that the video will be removed. Free speech is not always as free as you think. You know, there's a price to pay. In any case, so I'm looking at this whole situation with interest and seeing where this is going. But I'll tell you one thing, if I look at what has happened the last 2 years with Captain Ibrahim Traore, I would say if I was him, I would sleep with one eye open. And it's very hard to know who you trust in circumstances like that. And that is true for any leader, any government official, any president. Sometimes you don't know who are friends and who are your enemies. And but let's keep our eye on this. Very interesting developments, and a lot is changing in Burkina Faso at this moment in time.
Alassane Ouattara, the president of Ivory Coast. Listen me very carefully. If you are going to let Americans use your air bases or military forces to try kill Ibrahim Traore or destroy Burkina Faso or destroy Mali or destroy Niger, I am telling you straight, you will face us. And we will point you as Africa's enemy. This is direct warning to you.
So guys,
Okay, now that was also interesting. The takes that they had on it was very interesting, in my opinion. So it looks like not just us, but the world is watching Captain Ibrahim Traore. Okay, so with that all being said, yeah, he's trying to get independence from the West, and he doesn't want their help. Okay, because he doesn't trust them. And quite frankly, we already know you can't trust Trump and his nefarious administration. Y'all heard what Julius Malema said. Okay, I wouldn't want anything from them. Now, meanwhile, let's talk about our own problems right here in the U.S. Experts reveal exact date. Now, I want y'all to just go ahead and, y'all can go ahead and thank me now. Y'all can just go ahead and thank me now because I'm giving y'all the heads up. Okay, experts reveal exact date to expect empty shelves in the stores. All right, with the new U.S. tariffs, imports to the U.S. Are sharply down, which will likely lead to shortages. This came out just a few hours ago, so let's talk about it. So since the implementation of the new U.S. tariffs, shipments of products and goods from China to the U.S. have significantly dropped, and major U.S. retailers have been sending out warnings about supply shortages to come. But so far, stores have been pretty well stocked. So when should consumers expect a change? U.S. import duties on products from China are now as high as 145%, and China has imposed 125% tariffs on U.S. products and goods. According to CBS News, at the Port of Los Angeles, which receives around 40% of all imports from Asia, shipments last week were down 10% compared with the same period 1 year earlier, and that number is expected to keep falling. So the date when customers could really see the impact of the tariffs is coming up quickly. According to Molson Hart, founder and CEO of Viahart, an educational toy company that imports products from China, that date may be around May the 10th. Are y'all listening? Y'all need to write it down. Please take notes, okay? That's right, Desmond. Desmond said lifeline, okay? Please pay attention. At the end of the day, Leon said hashtag please pay attention, okay? May the 10th. That means that there are no economic effects of what was done in April, on April the 10th, until about May the 10th. That's when we'll start seeing it, according to Hart. Now, he said around that time, even though it's already started to happen, trucking work is going to dry up. Warehouses will start doing layoffs because there's no labor. No labor is needed to unload containers, and some products will simply be out of stock, reducing the need for shipping labor. Hart also said that even if the tariffs are reversed, the whole situation is a bit like lockdowns. Once you shut down, it takes a long time to get economic activity back to where it was, if you ever even can. Now, if retailers have been stocking extra items due to the tariffs, well, then it is possible that some consumers won't see as much of an impact until this summer. Port of Los Angeles Executive Director Eugene Soroka told CBS News that retailers have likely stockpiled sufficient inventory to last a couple of months, but then comes summer. Consumers could find that many products are absolutely out of stock. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Don't say I didn't warn you. I've been telling you all this for quite some time now. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is, y'all better get it together. I hope y'all have been following the lifelines. Okay, y'all should be stocked up too. They said some of these suppliers stockpiled things, so it'll be a couple of more months before they run out. It'll be closer to summer. But at the end of the day, look forward to May 10th. Some of the things that you get on a regular basis may not be in stores. So guess what? You might want to go and start piling up on those things now. Okay? They said it's going to be just like the lockdowns. Just like the lockdowns. Okay? So that all being said, Fabulous said, you have, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I hope you all got something out of it. Okay? I mean, at the end of the day, Trump is just messing everything up. The U.S. economy's in the tank. He's got other nations turning against us. He's upset because Ibrahim Traore wants to keep France out of, and the West. Okay, that means the United States. Okay, they want to keep them from coming over there and stealing their resources, and they don't trust them, and they shouldn't. Okay, because out of those 18 or 19 assassination attempts, you don't think that somebody that is up there in Washington or somebody that's in our military may have had something to do with it? I have several questions, okay? I have several questions. Now, they say that Trump didn't invite him to the White House. But even if Trump did, I don't know if he did or not, but that's what they've been saying. Okay, that's what some Africans have been saying, and that Traore told him no. And here's the thing. They said that Trump said it was disrespectful. You know what? I think that Trump did invite him to the White House. And you know why I think so? Because I think that's the real reason that Trump is threatening to have him arrested and talking about sanctioning them. Okay, yeah. Because, I mean, they're saying that, oh, Trump's doing this for Macron over there in France. But does Macron even like Trump that much? Okay, because didn't y'all say in the chat that he didn't even shake Trump's hand at the Pope's funeral? Okay, Trump's just mad. He's trying to get back at anybody and everybody. And all of this thing's a whole darn disaster. They don't want people coming here if they're, listen, here's the thing. They don't want people coming here if they look like me. Okay, pay attention. Just like they said that Trump's always had a problem, okay, with Africans coming here. All right, so please pay attention. And then let's not forget how they sent the plane full of Haitians back that time and how they beat them with reins, okay? Was that Trump or Biden administration? But nonetheless, that happened on the U.S. soil, all right? And then now we have all of this stuff going on with people's doors being kicked in, all of their belongings. And I want y'all to really, as you're watching TV or whatever you're going to do tonight, I want y'all to really marinate on that. These people are sitting in their home, minding their business, and then ICE kicks in the doors, breaks glass, destroying their items, taking their cash, taking their electronic devices, even their cell phones, and then tells them they don't know when they're going to get it back. Well, here's the thing. When they realize they're at the wrong damn house, the wrong address, why didn't they just start bringing the people's stuff back then? Okay, and now the people are being given a runaround where they're trying to find out which agency, in fact, came and took their things and held them hostage, okay, because that's what it was. Now, like the lady said, imagine if she tried to fight back, thinking that's somebody breaking in. And I can tell you right now, if somebody kicks in my door, that's the first thing I'm going to think. In fact, that's the only thing I'm going to think, because I don't commit crimes. I'm no criminal. Nobody that stays here is. So, of course, I'm not going to be expected to be the police or immigration enforcement. Okay? So just think about how dangerous that is. All right, I want y'all to pay attention. But anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the broadcast, and I will see you all in the morning, bright and early, for your morning wake-up call. And if you missed the earlier broadcast, please go back and watch. All right, so with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got